All right. Welcome to Gamers Little Podcast. It's your boy Miss. I got my host here.
Yeah, what's up? Is Knowledge.
Yeah,
the owner,
the
Mike.
Moneymaker Mike. This is our first podcast, so if it's shit, it'll get better. First question I wanted to ask: what do you think about DLC now? Like nowadays, not when it first came out, but now.
I mean, obviously, it's changed so much now. Like, you think about games like Call of Duty, or Fortnite. I guess Fortnite doesn't count because it's free, right?
Yeah.
But you see something like Call of Duty where you buy the season pass, and I don't know, like I some parts of it is cool because it keeps the game fresh.
Yeah.
Because every time the new season comes out on Call of Duty, people get hyped, people get excited for the game.
Do you think it's good?
But I think it's good for the industry. I mean, I don't think you can't deny that. I mean, gaming is bigger than it's ever been.
Yeah.
And people play games forever, and they don't get bored of them. And nowadays, because of the system, it could be like you can be more diverse and keep bringing fresh content, fresh DLC to an old game and keep it fresh. So I think it's good. I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm just old. I just don't.
I'm just old. But speaking of shitty games, let's talk about Cyberpunk real quick. Now, I'm not gonna beat a dead horse. Okay, you know, it made a mistake. But what made me want to bring up Cyberpunk was because it came out terribly, but there's always the hope of patching it till it's better. Do you believe in that type of mentality?
That's one of the things that I can't stand about these past like 5 years, where everybody's like, "Oh, don't worry, they'll make it good." Because I feel like you're just giving them an excuse to do it and just to release it whenever.
Yeah.
You have plenty of examples where games don't release shitty like that, where they're not broken at launch. So why is it okay for this game to release so broken? What do you think about that culture now, though? Like,
well, the thing is, it's proven to work. I remember when Rainbow Six came out, and everybody's like, "Man, what is this? It's garbage." And then Ubisoft actually has that track record. Well, they will release something terrible, and then over the years, it's way better. And it's just like, why couldn't you do that in the first place?
But the thing is, isn't that different though? Because it's not that Rainbow Six was broken. It's just that people didn't enjoy it the way it was originally put out.
False promises. It was not what it was advertised as. But then they built what they had that people enjoyed with like the competitiveness, and then expanded onto that. But like I said, it was a false promise of what it was supposed to be. When I see the trailer, I'm thinking there are no operators. It's just you, your team, and you guys are just going in, and you guys are saving hostages. And I thought it was going to be more of a story-driven experience.
Yeah,
that's what it looked like in the advertisement. No, they didn't come out and say that. But that's what it looked like in the advertisements, and then it came out to be something else. The competitiveness was bare bones. It was nothing special until the updates happened.
Yeah, that's probably a little more 50-50, because broken promises is another thing too, where it's just because at least the game wasn't broken from what I understand.
It wasn't broken, no.
But it just wasn't good. Well, I remember that trailer.
It was expected.
Yeah. I remember that that trailer. I think I'm the one you're talking about, where it's like they have the people talking and just like going dark.
It was cringy as fuck.
No, it was sick though.
It was sick because of the game, but it was like, okay, we're going in. I'm just like, dude, oh my fucking god, nobody talks like that.
I think about the one that always hit me was Halo 5. The ad campaign for Halo 5 made the story seem to be something way different than what it actually was. Like, and they put out so many trailers, and it was just kind of like, you're hunting the chief, you're gonna be Locke hunting the chief. There's gonna be epic like battle between them, and it doesn't really work out that way. It's like he's hunting the chief maybe for like 2 missions, and then he just like realizes that, hey, actually the chief is actually going after this, and they only fight each other once, and it's a cutscene.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then and like it wasn't even that good, and they made it seem like they're like, oh, hunt the truth. it was just completely false advertising. You know, it was false advertising. And then you played as Locke for maybe like 75% of the game, and you only played as Chief. That's like 25% of the game. It was false advertising, false promises. Cyberpunk, as we know, is probably the biggest culprit of that, because they had all these things about like what the world's gonna be like, all this stuff you're gonna have to do, and
do you personally have hope for Cyberpunk?
they'll make it good. I mean, they'll make it good. I know. Like 2 years from now, it'll be a really good game. It's the truth.
I'm just saying, dude. 2 years from now, you know how many games are gonna come out? Like only the people that really waited for Cyberpunk are gonna actually care.
I mean, people who are gonna get in late into the PS5, and that's gonna be a lot of people, to the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. Like, people can't afford that on day one. So like 2 years from now, Christmas, you get it, and it's like, oh, I want to play Cyberpunk. They'll probably play it then. They hurt their brand for sure. They really hurt their brand. So like, it's not without consequence. Like their next game that comes out, people are gonna be skeptical. But at the same time, it's like, is it too late? Yeah, I guess too late in the sense that like you missed out on a bunch of people who could have played your game and enjoyed it. Now they won't, and they might not play your next game because all they remember is like, man, Cyberpunk was a big bust. Ubisoft is the king. The king.
Shout out to Ubisoft.
when it comes to high expectations and low delivery, like...
It's a damn shame to say that too, because they have everything, dude. They have everything. They got Assassin's Creed, they got Splinter Cell, they got Rayman, they got all this stuff underneath their belt that they either don't use or they underuse it.
Everybody's always like bitching about like back in my day, back in the 5 years ago when they used to make. Remember when Fortnite used to blah 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 be like this? Yeah. Now they do this, and this, and just cry about it.
Well, see, that's the thing. How do you even appease the old school fans? It's like hard to do. And trying to adapt so it doesn't get stale. You go about it like Unity. I loved how it was multiplayer. That's a big step ahead. The only thing is the game was a buggy mess when it came out, so everybody's like, "Fuck this shit," I mean, it was bad, right? I don't know if you remember, but it was.
I do. It was horrible. I remember that face that gave you nightmares because it was just like the eyes and then the like fucking and the teeth. Yeah.
So it was terrible, but it had a big different change because the multiplayer used to just be PvP. Now it's co-op. And I would expect them to go forward with the system and have co-op and have the choice of PvP, or have like an invasion system like Dark Souls in the open world. Like Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs has an invasion system. Why not put it in Assassin's Creed? It keeps going forward, you add stuff, you take away what doesn't work, but you keep what does work. I personally think the PvP worked. I personally think the co-op worked. Why not go forward with it?
The thing I remember when did they first put it in? Brotherhood? When was the first multiplayer?
The first multiplayer was Brotherhood.
Brotherhood. So I remember when that came out, and then they put multiplayer. And by the way, this was in the era when they were like tacking on multiplayer onto every game. I remember that. Yeah, Mass Effect. Into every single game had some sort of multiplayer. And then I remember people bitching then and just like, dude, what the fuck? This is a single player game. Why put multiplayer in? And then to hear you say like, oh, the multiplayer was good. I'm like, back in that time, the dudes who played, they were like, no, fucking tacked on shitty ass multiplayer on Assassin's Creed. It's a single player game, man. Reading an article from 2012 on Games Radar. It's called "In Defense of Tacked On Multiplayer." Wow. So he enjoys it. He's saying it's good, and he said people didn't want it, people didn't like it. And then like said one Games Radar commenter, I can imagine in AC multiplayer mode, two players will stand and stare at each other for hours, each waiting for the other guy to make the first move so that they can counter it. Then another guy just runs up and stealth kills both of them. So much fun. He's defending it, and he's saying like, yeah, it was good, and people who actually gave it a chance did enjoy it. And I'm reading the IGN article, the IGN review, and they actually really liked it. They really complimented the multiplayer. So it was good. But again, there was there probably was like a rage cycle of people being like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I think that was the problem that people had, and in that era, which was like the late 2000s and the early 2010s, was that they were just tacking on multiplayer at the end, and sometimes they were good, like The Last of Us and I guess Brotherhood, but I think a lot of them were fucking trash, and they were just like, dude, why even waste your resources on this? Like, you didn't even want to make this.
Yeah.
And I do think it was like one of those things where the executives of the company said, like, you have to make a multiplayer. Yeah. I always say, in my opinion, the game that ruined it, not, I guess ruined it in the sense that they forced everybody to do it, was Halo. Because Halo 3, it came out in 2007, and it was the most fucking played game. Like, everybody played this fucking game.
Yeah.
And the thing was, it had a good story. It had like a fairly long, like 8 hour campaign that you can do co-op with 4 people and do it online. It had multiplayer, it had theater mode, and it had forge mode. So like, it had like, like if you just like building shit, go to forge. If you like making videos, go to the theater mode. If you like just playing co-op, do the co-op with your friends and put on the skulls and do fucking score-based shit. Or if you like multiplayer, it was just kind of like, people were like, dude, what the fuck? Like, you have to, like, you can't just have a single player anymore. Because I remember people saying in that time, it's just like, yeah, why would I buy so-and-so game if it's only 8 hours long when I can play Halo forever for $60? Like, people really thought that way,
What do you think about that for future games? Instead of you buying, like, Overwatch 2 is coming out. What if you don't need to buy Overwatch 2? Overwatch 2 is literally, it just looks better and it plays better, and you get to play with people from Overwatch 1. Except Overwatch 2 added a story mode.
I think that's cool. I think that brings you good value. And people still complain about it. They're like, well, why can't we use all the Overwatch 2 things on Overwatch 1? And it's just like, well, then...
Because you're a freeloader, that's why.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that as long as they priced it down. See, I think, I would say, like... $60. Yeah, see, like, if it was like Madden, Madden and FIFA, like, those are clearly, like, they're just updating it. And sometimes they don't even update it. But I truly believe, like, if they were just to price it at $20 for the update, I think they would get a lot of social currency. Yeah, people would look at it different instead of talking shit about it all the time and bringing it down.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, it's $60 for the same thing.
Yeah.
If it's just $20, you get an updated roster, sometimes some new game modes.
Yeah, maybe a little bit graphical updates. So it's like you wouldn't feel fucked over, and then at the same time for them,
they can keep.
It's milking. Like, yeah, they can keep milking it, and it's like fine. People really like playing it and using your system. So go ahead.
Dude, that's a good idea. Copyright, trademark. We came up with that before EA did.
That's almost exactly what GTA 5 does, because GTA 5 releases an update every year, like some new heist, maybe a new location or whatever, and it's pretty much like it's an update to the game, but they don't say like GTA 5.5 or GTA 6. They just say like, oh, here's a DLC pack. That's basically what Madden and them should do, which is just like somewhere between a DLC and like an update.
That's an expansion,
I guess. It's just, it feels, yeah, I guess it is an expansion. Well, not for Madden though, because it is literally the same game. Like, you're not getting a new fucking area or something. It's not like World of Warcraft where you're getting a new. I guess the GTA one, you could see it more as an expansion. That's true. That's like pretty much. So they probably say like, who cares? People are still buying it for $60. Why the fuck would we make it cheaper? So I guess the argument would be like, if you made it cheaper, would you sell 10 million and then get more people hooked on your system? Or
I would say yes.
I would think so.
It's cheaper.
Yeah.
You're gonna get more people to buy it if it's cheaper. It makes logical sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I would.
Is that good? Like, it's good for the company and it's good for us in the short term. Do you really want everybody gambling and all that stuff? That's a whole nother box of worms, you know.
I mean, that's society right there. I mean, it's like
Capitalism, baby.
I'm not here to fix society. Like, shit, gambling is everywhere. I don't.
Everywhere.
And I like to gamble.
I know.
And I'm. It's not a good thing. I'm not saying I'm not like condoning it, but that shit is like that is a drug. Like it gets into your system. Like that rush you get is like more than any rush I've ever had in my life of any like alcohol or anything like that or drugs. It's like, dude, that rush you get when you're winning,
when you're up,
you can touch the sky, you can kiss the clouds, you can fly around, fucking fall in style, baby.
We do not promote gambling on Gamers Little Podcast. We're just
wait. Do you like gambling or no?
Oh fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. Dude. I low key been thinking so hard. I want to live stream blackjack.
Oh no, don't do that.
No, I know. I want to because I love gambling. Like in Red Dead, I go to the poker table all the time. Stocks, I gamble. Stocks is gambling.
Yeah.
Let's set the record straight. Stocks, Bitcoin, all of it is gambling. You're putting money in, not knowing it's gonna go up or down. You just hope it goes up. That is gambling. So yeah, I gamble a lot.
Yeah.
But to lose a couple $100 in a couple seconds is something that I don't really like.
Yeah. I don't think it's good. I don't like the kids getting hooked on it. But I mean, it's everywhere.
That's why the games are rated M. That's what the USRB is for. You know, and it's also the parents' jobs too.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I mean, there's, I guess well, I don't know. I don't play Fortnite, but what other like kids game like where you put in money and then you get random loot? They don't do that anymore. Like
Overwatch does it. CS:GO did it. The rated E games. I personally don't know any rated E games that do it. That does not mean it doesn't exist though.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know about it, I mean it's not happening.
Dude, CS:GO was the worst. I think that's what started turning everything around because their shit got so
That's exactly when the legal system started getting involved. Nowadays, I personally just assume everything is shady, and I just roll with it until the rug is uncovered. Like I just automatically, and I think everybody should. Everybody should assume something is shady about anything and everything. How many times has there been a YouTuber exposed for being a piece of shit?
They're just normal human beings, and some of them are just shitty human beings, and then some of them get caught up in the
bullshit. They get caught up in it. Because not everybody's like, oh yeah, I'm a purposely destroy other people's lives, you know?
Yeah.
It just happens.
You know what? This is different, but related to what you're saying is just like, I try to be a good person, right? Yeah. I'm not always a good person. So like,
life.
That's life. But I mean, here's a perfect example. It's like we have the channel. We have 2 million subscribers, and if a new game comes out, everybody hates to get spoiled. You know, nobody likes to get spoiled. I don't give a fuck. And for the most part, I would say 8% of the time, we do titles and thumbs that don't spoil. Sometimes the greed takes over, and that's just the truth. It's like you're sitting there, and you're like, I know if I put this motherfucker on the thumbnail, it's gonna get thousands of dollars worth of revenue.
But also, if it wasn't gonna be you that does it, someone else is gonna do it anyway.
But that's true, but I feel like that's the wrong mentality to have. And almost every time that we've done it, like 30 minutes after, I'll change it because we feel guilty because we're just like, fuck, man, we shouldn't have done that, you know? We shouldn't have done that. Like,
I respect it. I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I see where you're coming from. Yeah, that would suck. But when it comes down to spoilers, you're gonna find out regardless.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not talking just YouTube or whatever. Like, once you play it, you're gonna find out regardless. And at some point, it's not gonna matter anymore. Like, I always hate those videos when it's like an old game, like 2-3 years ago, and they're like, "Oh, I'm not gonna tell you guys the ending because I want you guys to do it first." Bro, I could literally close your video, go to YouTube, and look at the ending my damn self.
No, that's stupid to me. To me, there's like a window, and I would say the window is probably like 5 days to a week. After that, it's free reign. I have zero guilt about spoiling something because if you don't know by now, then I'm not gonna wait for you to find out. Like if you really cared,
Like, if you really wanted to know,
yeah, if you really wanted, I see this on Twitter all the time, where like whatever like WandaVision or something is out, and then like you don't want to get spoiled the first day, so people are like, oh, just don't go on Twitter. That's true. I think that like for something like that, the proper etiquette would be to wait like one day, and then one day after you can start spoiling whatever the fuck you want. Whoever really cares about spoilers would have made the time on that fucking day to watch the goddamn.
If you got enough time to scroll through and like look at stuff from your favorite whatever it is, whether it's a game or a show, take that time and put it towards, you know, watching it so you don't get spoiled.
But no, there's times where we push it up and people are like, oh, you spoiled it, and I'm like, dude, no, like shut the fuck up. Like I'll put like the final boss and ending. I'll put a generic ass thumbnail, and then people were like, oh, you fucking spoiled it, you posted it. It's just like, dude,
you clicked on the video.
There is a final boss in the game. You know, the only the only way you will spoil yourself is if you watch this video. Don't watch it. Click away. Yeah. Press X. But here's an example when here's one where it happened and I did feel really guilty was in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. None of the trailers
Nobody brought up Darth Vader.
Nobody knew Darth Vader was in it. Nobody knew, and of course we get the games early. So we had it beat early, and then we had a conversation, and we're like, dude, should we put it in the thumbnail? And then we're like, nah, man, like people don't know. But then we're like, dude, it's Star Wars, of course Vader's in it, you know. So we put that.
Of course, you would expect Vader, but
we put that shit on there, and that shit had like 100,000 views within the first like 2-3 hours. But people were really fucking pissed, and they're like, you fucking spoiled this, you ruined this and that. And I was just like, damn, man. Like, they're right. We did fuck it up. And it was the greed that got to me and the whole team. And we're just like thinking, oh, we can make a quick buck. And then we're just like, nah, man. So we changed it. Of course, like you said, other people left their shit with Darth Vader. And to this day, like, you can go on Twitter and look up people being like, they fucking... so-and-so channel ruined Jedi Fallen Order for me, like blah blah blah. And sometimes good people do bad things. In the past couple of years, they've become the way people title their videos have become so much more spoilery that if we don't do something like that, then we just won't get views, period. And that's just the truth of it. And like the way people title shit now, it's like before they would title something like all Harley Quinn scenes, you know, like Arkham Knight all Harley Quinn scenes. Yeah. You know, that's not a spoiler. It's like, fine, if I want to see all the Harley Quinn scenes, fine. Now they would title it Harley Quinn stabs Batman in the heart and rips out his like that's it. They'll literally title it exactly what happens, and it's not. I don't even know what the word for it is though, because it's not clickbait, but it makes you click. It makes you click on it because you know exactly what happens, and there's no bullshit. You want to see it.
Click expectation, click anxiety. Like
it took a while to adapt to it because we were kind of like, man, like we don't want to be spoiling shit like that for people, but at the same time, it's like we do it on things that we don't consider like big spoilers. Like, oh fuck it, like if it's an amazing car chase. I was like, oh, you know, car flies off whatever, the Golden Gate Bridge or something like that. Like, it's not really a spoiler or anything, but it's just kind of like, oh, this is a cool thing that happens in the fucking in the video.
But what do you guys think? Do you guys agree with the whole clickbait situation? Do you think gambling, the adaptation of gambling, is it that bad? Of course it shouldn't be in rated E games, but what about it if it's rated M? What if gambling's on the ESRB logo and you're expecting it? Should they just get rid of it? It's gonna be pretty hard, questions and answers to try and come up with. This is Miss.
This is Knowledge. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, Gamers Little Podcast. Episode 1, that's a wrap.
Woo!
Episode 2 probably coming back on the weekend. We want to do it every weekend.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Maybe we'll get more guests. Maybe we'll get some famous people on here. Maybe not. But we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Peace.